Alrighty, here we go. And we are moving on into section 2, which is all about estimation. And today I have to say, this is a day where I honestly don't want you touching a calculator. Estimating is all about rounding and doing mental math, and that's a skill we're really focusing on today. So, chapter 6, section 2, estimating percents. And actually, your learning target is super easy because all you're going to say is, I can, ta-da, estimate percents. All right. So, how do we get this picture in our head? How do we do this well? How do we make sure we're understanding what we're after? Okay. So, estimating has degrees of goodness, meaning degrees of accuracy. What's a good estimate? What's not? And also, though, that gives us some leeway as to what's an acceptable estimate and what's not. The way I like to think about it is, first of all, let's get these common ones in our head. And for a lot of people, I think it's nice to draw pictures. So whether you do just kind of a number line and we're going to put things above and below, or if you want to draw a box like I have drawn here, go ahead and draw that, either a line or a rectangle. And at the far left, put 0% on the bottom, and the far right, put 100% on the bottom. Okay. Smack dab in the middle, right there is 50%. And then from here, halvesies here, in between each one of these would be your 25% and your 75%. These ones really are the ones we'll base pretty much everything on, and I want you to have them boom, 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 boom in your head. All right, so how are we going to use this? All right, so this is what you have right now, 0%, 50%, 100% on your bar. You've probably drawn in an extra one here at 75% and 25%, okay? All right, so if you can always generate this picture, then you should be good to go when it comes to estimating. Because now on the top of this, we're going to deal with this kind of stuff. It says estimate. The minute you see that, we want to do some rounding, okay? So I'm thinking 24%. Well, first let's get to this 79, okay? 79, it's really close to 80. 80 is an easier number to work with. So we're talking about some percentage of 80, all right? 100% of 80 is 8. 80 is the 100%. That's our main number. So now, before I even get to this part, you should be able to tell me, hey, that'd be 0, this would be 80, so exactly halfway is 40. Boom, that's your 50% benchmark, okay? If I want about 25%, that would be about 20, and frankly, 24% is really close to 25%. So a good estimate here would be about 20, okay? I like to use what I call the squiggly equal signs. It means approximately. So anytime you see that, that's what I'm after. And that's what it's referencing or what it means, that notation. Okay, so now let's try another one. Estimate 48% of 247 and 89 hundredths. Ugh, gross. But here's 0%. No. Here's 100%. 247.89 would be right here. That's your total amount, your 100%. But this is, quite honestly, a pretty complicated number to deal with. So it's pretty close to 250, okay? Which means smack dab here in the middle at the 50% would be half of this. And this is really, if you can just do half in your head, half in your head, half in your head. 100 and half of 50 is 25. All right. 50% would be 125. 48%, it's really close to 50%. So that's a decent estimate, okay? I want you to get good at this estimation stuff because frankly, once I actually tell you to do 48% of that number, I want you already in your head to have this estimate of 125. That's about where I should be. Because then if you get an answer that's totally different, it's like, I think I'm way off. Let's look at this example. 11% of 201. Here's 0%, here's 100%. Okay, 201, well, that's close to 200, so that'd be my total, okay? Halfway there would be 100. That's the 50%, okay? 11%. You know, my other benchmarks were like at the 25%, the 75%. And we haven't really talked about the other magnificent estimation tool that you've got. And instead of doing the 25% in this case, because 11, it's not really close to 25%. It's not really close down to 0. But it is really close to this guy, to the good old 10%, which would be, I suppose, right about here somewhere, okay? This is about 10%. Here's the beauty of 10%. 10% is a tenth of something. And a tenth of something means you just divide it by 10. And dividing by 10 is fabulous, because when you divide by 10, let's go down here and take a little detour, okay? Remember how to divide by 10? What happens? If I take 70 and divide it by 10, I get exactly 7. If I had 240 and I divided that by 10, I get 24. Let's see. Oh, by the way, here's my decimal point with 70, and now it's here. Here's my decimal point with 240. Now it's here. Do you notice a pattern? When you divide by 10, you are in effect moving one decimal place over to the left. Haha. That means on this guy, it's always very, very easy to benchmark a 10% because 10% of a number means move your decimal point in one spot. And if I moved it in one spot from the 200, 10% of 200 is going to look like this. Instead of the decimal point being here, it's going to go right there. So now it's 20. That's delightful. 11% is close to 10%. 201 is close to 200. So do 10% of 200. Move the decimal in one spot. Oh my gosh, how wonderful is that? Now, when you look at this problem, estimate 9% of 58. You might say, well, 58, okay, that's pretty close to 60. And you get ready to maybe draw the bar, but then I look at this and I say, 9%? Really close to 10%. And I, in my magnificent arsenal of a brain and all of the tools that are in there for calculating, I know that 10% of 60 is just move the decimal point in one spot. It's 6. This is pretty close, okay? Awesome. If you are using an estimate of something close to 50%, 75%, 25%, and so on, the bar is a good way to go. If you can break it down into chunks of 10%, that's a good way to go. Hey, for example, this one, okay? 21% of 31. We'll say, well, 31's close to 30. All right, so here's 100%. Here's 0%. This is 30. I know this is my 50% here, okay, which is going to be half of 30. That's 15. When I go here at the 25%, well, I suppose that's kind of close, because I could say this is 7.5 or 7 5/10. But it's going to be a little less than this. So do you just want to wiggle on there and say it's going to be 7, or would it really be closer to 6 or 5 or what? Because 20% is probably, I don't know, probably 10, 20, probably somewhere about here is the 20%. So I don't know if I'd tackle this one with this measuring bar like this. I mean, you could, that's okay. But when I look at this, I'm thinking, hey, 21% is really close to 20%, okay, of 30. And then I'm saying, you know what? Okay, maybe I'm not real skilled at doing 20% right now in my head, but I could do 10%, because 10% of 30 is 3. Just move the decimal line. And then another 10% of 30, which is another 3. When I add these two together, that'd be 20%. You get 6. Ha! This way I might be kind of waffling in 6-7 land there, but this way, doing the 10% is the easiest, okay? Now, when I look at this, 68%, let's see, this is close to 90, okay? Now really 68% is kind of close to 70%. So here's one way to do this, okay? Method number one is say this is close to this, and then you'd say, well, 70% is really 7 times 10%. And I can do 10% fast in my head because that's decimal point. 10% of 90 is 9, and 7 times 9 is 63. Sweet. Sweet. Okay, so that's one way you could do it. Another way you could do it is say, well, hey, I'm kind of into this bar thing. Okay? And I haven't really talked about another common one in here, and those are the thirds. Like here's 1/3, and this would be about 2/3 right here. 2/3 as a percent, remember as a decimal, it goes 0.6666666, repeating. 2/3 is really 66.6 repeating percent. That's that right here. So if I look at this and I say, well, if this is 90, then like 1/3 of 90 would be 30, and 2/3 of 90 would be 60, because see, this is pretty close. This is pretty close to 66.6 repeating. It's pretty close to that 2/3 thing of 90. And then this time my estimate would be about 60. Okay. I'd say that's a pretty good estimate. I'd say 63 is a good estimate. See, either way, you have different strategies. We might be just a little bit varied in our answers if we did it a different way, but they're still good estimates because you're just trying to get somewhat close. 4%. You know what? Here's the deal. 121 is close to 120. 4% isn't exactly close to 10%. It's actually closer to 5%. And I'm going to tell you right now, 5% is easy to do if you can do 10%. You see, because 10%, and ignore this bar here right now, 10% of 120 is just going to be, boom, 12. Move the decimal point in. So if I wanted to figure out 5% of something, this is just going to be half as much. So take half as much as this, and that's 6. There you go. 6. Oh, my stars, are you kidding me? It's that easy? Yeah. Let's, I got a whole bunch of examples here, but what I want to do is try to get this now. If it says, oh, I don't give you the percent this time, tell me what 13 out of 25 looks like. Well, if you want to think of it this way, this time you've got the 25 here, okay? And as you look at, here's 25 and 0. I'm going to leave 25, 25 instead of rounding. I'm going to leave it as is because I can work with 25, but can you tell me what exactly half of 25 is? Well, half of 24 is 12. So this would be 12 and a half. 12 and 5/10. Oh, so if I said estimate the percent of where 13 is, which would be right here, this is really close to 50%. Okay? You can use the picture to do it that way. Okay, 7 out of 27. Well, I don't know here. Here would be 27. Okay. I know thirds. If you remember the thirds, where this is like 33 and a third percent here, and then this is the 2/3, the 66 and 2/3. A third of this would be 9. Okay. So maybe this is kind of close to about 30%. You could think of it that way. That might be a good estimate. You can draw the picture. Okay. Or if you want to try some other rounding and go from there, go ahead. Okay. See what you come up with. This one, 19 out of 81. Well, let me get this gray screen out of the way. 19 out of 81. Think, well, these are kind of icky numbers, but maybe I'll round this one instead and say, if this is about 20 and this is about 80, okay, maybe I can think, well, whoops, I got to put this on top. I always put the percents on the bottom, don't I? So about 20 out of 80, this would be 40. And then halfway here would be 20. Well, that's exactly the 25% mark. So that might be a good estimate. Okay. Or if you want to just think of it as the fraction 20 out of 80 and get that in simplest form, which is 1/4, and you might say, I know that's close to that one. Okay. So here's what I want you to do. Check Schoology. Go ahead and do this particular assignment using estimates and use your resources. Don't grab a calculator. I really, really sincerely want you to do this without it and get some good, reasonable answers in your head. Good luck, and may the force be with you.